Colonel, thanks for coming back. I wanted to speak to you at greater length, given that after our interview last week, a barrage of attacks against you, some of them sounded kind of serious, came out. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond, but also to clarify some of the points that your former employer is making about you. Johnny Moore, who runs the organization, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, was on television this weekend calling you a liar, suggesting that anyone who criticizes his group is pro-Hamas, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just going to go through some of the claims against you because you're making some significant statements that will, I think, color people's understanding of what's happening in Gaza. And so I think it's important to do this. So first, I just want to get to your separation from the Army. Was in January. You left the Army in March, if I'm remembering correctly. What did you do right after you left the U.S. Army after 25 years?
So right after my departure from the Army, I had no interests in politics or a second career. My interest was being a stay-at-home dad. I applied at Lowe's, and I was doing part-time Lowe's lawn and garden. Really enjoyed it.
What does that mean, Lowe's Lawn and Garden?
So working at the Lowe's hardware store in the lawn and garden section, giving recommendations on weed eaters, what plants to buy.
Really?
Yeah, I found it very therapeutic. By
the way, I love that. I'm not criticizing.
I was not looking for a life of stress. I was not looking for a life of attention. I have no social media whatsoever. I don't even have LinkedIn for employment purposes. My family and I enjoy a private life because we enjoy our lives together. I'm not really seeking anyone's approval. I'm not seeking clicks or follows or Instagram likes. When I first got out of the Army, I was keeping things pretty low key. I'm spending a lot of time with the family. My wife and I are both. My wife and I are co-den leaders together in my son's Cub Scout den. So we co-den lead for my son's Boy Scout den, which is phenomenal. We love it, and just all the things we're involved in. And after my years in service and the places I've been and the family moments that I've missed in life, I felt that the rest of my life should be committed to being a good father, raising a good family, because I think that's the next phase in life for me is contributing to the next generation. And for me, that's my son and the youth. So it's pretty much what I was doing. I was not seeking excitement.
So you get out after graduating West Point, 25 years in the U.S. Army, Green Beret, Lieutenant Colonel is your rank when you get out, if I'm remembering.
I was a senior ranking Lieutenant Colonel. Yep.
And then you wind up working at Lowe's Home and Garden Center, and leading your son's Boy Scout troop. It's pretty great. But that's not the picture of an activist, I would say. It's the opposite. So how did you wind up going to Gaza? You gave an abbreviated version of the story, but if you could just walk us through exactly how that happened.
Sure. And what I would like to remind people, and especially remind Mr. Johnny Moore, is that, I did not work for GHF. It's very hard to actually find any information about GHF. I worked specifically for UG Solutions as a subcontractor for the security component of the greater Gaza Humanitarian Foundation mechanism.
Okay, so GHF is Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. That's the group about which it's very hard to find any real information.
It's very difficult.
That is distributing aid in the Gaza Strip. UG Solutions is the security contractor, providing security for them as they do that. Is that correct?
So the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, by their own accord, they claim to be a nonprofit.
Okay.
GHF is not really a thing in function. They have, again, there's so much that's unknown. It's a very shadowy shady type of organization. Underneath GHF is a company called Safe Reach Solutions. They're another private security contracting firm. They're what's called a prime contract. They're for profit, absolutely for profit, money making business that's basically the contract. Underneath them, they have subcontracts, almost like building a home.
Okay.
You got the guy that's building the home.
Yeah,
you got all your subcontractors,
plumber, yeah,
right?
Of course.
So UG Solutions is a subcontract to the building of this home.
Okay.
Specifically providing the armed security component. And no one else under the Safe Reach Solutions framework is authorized to be armed. So anytime you hear anything about who may have been shooting, it was either within Gaza, it's either the Israeli Defense Force or UG Solutions.
UG Solutions. Now, what is UG Solutions and who owns it and where's it based? And
so I got a phone call May 13th. They called me and they were asking, we're specifically looking for recently retired or out of service SOF veterans to join us on this mission to Gaza to do the distribution of humanitarian aid. I thought that perhaps this company was humanitarian aid focused. I could find very little on the company, but I did see that they were based in North Carolina. I saw that the founder of the company, his claim to fame was that he was a Green Beret at one point. He served as a Green Beret in the United States Army, and once he got out, he went into some entrepreneurship with a post-recovery alcohol hangover drink. I don't know what it was called, but it kind of gave me pause to think that where's the expertise, where's the experience, and I thought, okay, maybe he's just the guy.
An energy drink company?
Energy drink / it was advertised as the ultimate hangover beverage for the SOF operator that has a few many drinks the night before can get ready for the mission the next day. That was kind of his claim to fame, is that he, even in his biography on the website for this company, he calls himself self-titled. I'm not calling him this. This is not me saying it. He calls himself a derelict. So it just kind of gave me pause that this is, and I thought, okay, maybe he's just the owner. Sometimes the owners don't necessarily contribute to the mission, but it did give me pause to think, how did all of this come together? How did all this come together so quickly in the hiring? And so they called me, and the question that I've had many a time that I often ask myself is, why did you do it then?
Yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah, why? And I remember I sat when they called me. I said, my answer is not yes. My answer is not no. I'd like to discuss it with my wife, and just consider the timing, and let me get back with you. And when I talked to my wife, I told her, I said, hey, going into this, full eyes wide open, this is going to be rough. It's probably going to be dangerous because the amount of what I see as like the lack of experience in planning to this magnitude. This is a seriously complex and seriously complicated mission that requires, people that have deep experience in this. This is, again, as I've said, this is not a weekend job. This is not a, let's just go try this out. This requires depth of expertise, which was not present. So I talked to my wife about it. My wife said, well, you have done a lot of that. So you can contribute, you can help, you can be of value. What I really believed in was that if the United States was going to go into Gaza proclaiming that our method is going to replace the UN, we're going to do this now, that I wanted to be a part of what I thought at the time was truly an American ideal, an ideal of American exceptionalism, that America will go into the breach, into danger, and will help. That's what I really felt like. I really felt like that America was putting a good foot forward in this to say, like, hey, we respect our ally, We don't want to necessarily get involved or criticize the prosecution of the war, but we also realize and recognize a real need to end the starvation. So I really felt that being a part of it was something that was in line with American values. I really wanted to be a part of it.
So what does it mean to be safe in your own home? For a long time, that meant good locks and maybe an alarm system. That was enough, but they're not enough. And you know that because the news is filled with stories of people who thought they were protected and fell victim anyway. Simply Safe can help prevent you from becoming the next victim. Instead of just responding after somebody comes into your home, an intruder enters, Simply Safe can stop them from ever getting in the first place. It's proactive. It doesn't just react. It stops the problem before it starts. Simply Safe's cameras and live monitoring agents detect suspicious activity, and if somebody is lurking around your house, agents engage in real time. They activate spotlights. They can call the cops to get the intruder away from your house and prevent him from coming in. Not all security systems do that. The difference is enormous. That's why our team, along with 4 million other people in this country, trust Simply Safe. Monitoring plans start for about $1 a day. They include a 60-day money-back guarantee. Visit simplysafe.com/Tucker to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring, and your first month is free. That's simplysafe.com/Tucker. There is no safe like Simply Safe. So, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, I'm going to go through some of the claims they're making, that you were fired. Were you fired?
I was not fired. Not only was I not fired, and I've brought some points to discuss to kind of lay out the pathway to my eventual termination in terms of me. They call contract termination that I terminated my contract in writing. So in terms of contract termination, yes, my contract was terminated. I terminated it in writing.
You quit.
Essentially, yes, you could say that. I quit in protest, much like those before me, much like Jake Wood, former director of Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, who stepped down in protest. The second in charge of the entire contract for UG Solutions, who on the 27th of May, with a very scathing email to the leadership, to the CEO, stepped down in protest. One of the operations directors in the higher level company of Safe Reach Solutions stepped down in protest. I was not the first, and I was not the last. When I did, I quit in a way to where I wanted to stay involved in the mission. So I had coordinated to work with Safe Reach Solutions, again, the prime contract, to specifically be working on the humanitarian assistance team, because that would put me in a position to where I could then influence how operations on the sites ran. I would, as the humanitarian assistance team person that had leadership to take charge and to plan accordingly, I could be in charge of how rules of engagement, standard operating procedures, distribution process, organization and planning. And I felt that it was better for me to stay and be involved than to walk away and just leave no one at the wheel. So I did terminate my contract in writing on the 13th of June and provided it to the leadership in writing. And
so just to be absolutely clear, you were not fired.
I was not fired.
And you, I suppose, have the email resigning.
Not only do I have the email, I have the email chain. I have the actual letter itself that I wrote to them, and you can read it yourself. But this was provided in writing, and what I would continue to ask of UG Solutions and Gaza Humanitarian Foundation with Johnny Moore, who if he wants to say that I am a liar, I think that's
he has
unfair.
said that you're a liar.
He has said that I'm a liar, and that's unfortunate because he doesn't know me. I have opinions about him, but I don't know him either. But to say that I'm a liar, I served our country for 25 years in uniform, and what I would say is that America made me. Graduated from the United States Military Academy at West Point. I served in the Army for 25 years, answered the call, not just once, twice, 3, 4 times, but 12 to fight in battle for the ideals of this nation. So for him to call me a liar, I think that all veterans and all Americans should take pause and think about who's calling me a liar. Someone that has spent his entire life self-serving with PR firms and selling Bibles and whatever else it is he does on the side.
Who is Johnny Moore? Do you know? Have you met him?
I have not met him. I didn't shake his hand and talk to him. I saw him when he came to visit very, very briefly. So what I would call a photo op.
So he does not work in Gaza?
Oh, absolutely not. So what's interesting is that this entire time that this operation's been going on now for, operating since the 26th of May till now, so breaking 70 days, he's only been there one time for a photo op. I find it appalling.
Wait, he doesn't work out of Gaza?
Absolutely not.
Now, I should say we put in 3 interview requests for Johnny Moore.
He's not even in Israel.
Oh. So how is he running the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation? From
his flat in Virginia, I guess. I don't know. I don't know where he lives, but I know that he is not in Israel. He is not in Gaza. He doesn't have an act. So it's what it feels like to me is that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is a side project resume item for Mr. Johnny Moore. It's not something that he's dedicated to, and it's not something that he has the expertise and the acumen to understand how to run.
Does he have any background in distributing humanitarian relief that you know of?
No. And what's important to understand is that going with a missionary organization to somewhere and distributing some meals or providing, religious support, that isn't humanitarian assistance. Humanitarian assistance is an operation. It's a very complex
Keeping 2 million
operation.
people from starving to death is different from...
It's not just food. It's water, medical, veterinarian services to make sure that we don't have a rabid animal population.
Right.
It's so many things that the experts within the United Nations that are educated, that spend their lives to become experts in, are very, very, very good at doing. So to think that we can just take that on and do it it's a very arrogant way of looking at this problem.
So Johnny Moore has no background in this. He's not there. I just saw him interviewed on Fox News, and he suggested you and everyone else who's criticized the operations of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation are pro-Hamas. Are you pro-Hamas?
I am not pro-Hamas.
That's a pretty heavy charge. I mean, Hamas is a designated terror organization.
Yes. I mean, that is a heavy charge to lay on somebody from such from an individual that carries such little weight.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like the Christian response to criticism to me, but what do I know?
Well, I would say on his appearance on Fox, in just the short time I've been doing this with no PR firm and no polished background, I was a soldier. And after I was a soldier, I worked a blue collar job, and I call myself a husband and a father. I don't call myself by any other name. And since this story has broke from Hollywood to Bollywood, polar bears to penguins, people want this story because it's the truth, not because of me, because the world wants to hear the truth for once.
It's interesting, though. I mean, the forces against you organized immediately, and I mean, they had a press conference attacking you.
They did.
And during that press conference, which I watched, they didn't respond to not one of the allegations you made about their conduct in Gaza, not one.
No.
Instead, it was a litany of attacks on you. So I just want to continue to go through some of them.
Absolutely,
to get
please.
your response. So the most damaging, from my perspective, by far, was the fact, and they showed the signal messages, that you had written complimentary texts to the management of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. At the time, you now say you were dissatisfied with their conduct. Did you write those texts, and if so, why?
So those text messages that they had captured out of Signal Snapchats were something called impact statements. Those from me, those weren't to the leadership of GHF, nor were they to the leadership of Safe Reach Solutions. Those were specifically to the Americans on contract under UG Solutions specifically. That is who I worked for and who I worked for only. chief operations officer of UG Solutions, who was Ford at the time, directed me in writing. Directed me in writing to daily create these impact statements to include a photo and something positive. At that point, the contractors were really run down. We were running 24 to 48 hours. There was very little organization, and it was keen that everyone was becoming quickly unmotivated. Mm-hmm. So I was asked. So I did send out a picture once from one of the days we were there. That was a nice photo of a boy who was happy. And I think it's, as a leader, which I am, though I was not in a direct leader position there in the beginning, I was promoted to one. But leaders don't gripe down. Leaders gripe up. As a leader, did I make my issues and my complaints and my dissatisfaction absolutely known to the leadership directly in writing and in verbal? Absolutely. But the contractors that are there that are doing everything they can to the best of their ability with a complete lack of information. And I will also say that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has set them up for failure with no legal protection. So my position in that was that I want to contribute to the mission and the men. And my gripes and my issues are with the leadership.
Okay.
I was directed to do that.
Here's a depressing but true statistic. Nearly half of American adults say they would suffer financial hardship within 6 months if they lost their primary income earner. That's a telling sign that people are living on the edge. Many of them, the economy's fragile. That's true for millions and millions of people. What do you do about it? Well, life insurance is one of the best ways to protect yourself from potential hardship. We recommend Policy Genius to get it. Policy Genius's plans offer life insurance policies starting at just $276 a year for $1 million in coverage. It feels complex to buy life insurance. They make it really easy. They help you compare different quotes from the market's top insurers so you get the lowest possible price, the best deal for your family. Policy Genius lays out all of your options really clearly. Coverage amounts, prices, terms, no guesswork at all. It's all very clear. They handle the questions. They handle the paperwork. They advocate for you throughout the process. So if you don't have life insurance because it seems too complex, they are the answer. Your family's future could be guaranteed to a great extent with Policy Genius. Go to policygenius.com/Tucker to compare free life insurance quotes from top companies, see how much you could save and to what extent you could protect your family. Policygenius.com/Tucker. You're saying that the text that they waved around at the press conference,
yes,
and that Johnny Moore...
Those are signal chats.
Signal chats.
Yes, sir.
Those were messages of encouragement to your men, not to the leadership of either organization.
I did not have any authorization, nor did I have the capacity to send anything up and out. I had no contact information other than our signal chat groups for UG Solutions. I had no communication with anyone above that. There's my communiques went to the men. Now, they did go up to GHF from the COO of UG Solutions. He would send them up, but They did not come from me.
Okay, so you were not. So your position is you were not complimenting the conduct of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. You were saying to the guys providing security for this benighted operation that they're doing their best. Keep going, guys.
And for the most part, the 277 up to 314 men on contract, and I say men because they all are men. There were no females on the contract, no women on the contract. But so I use that term specifically. But the men on the contract, majority are veterans, combat veterans.
Yep.
And they felt that they were doing the right thing. The lack of leadership and guidance is what has led to where we are now. In fact, not just a lack of guidance, but the guidance of do what the IDF do. So not the lack of guidance, but the giving of just completely unethical and immoral guidance. That's not how the United States, we don't follow other people's lead. We set the standard.
So that raises the question that I'm going to ask you in just a moment, which is like, who's working for whom here and where's the money come from? But first, let me get to one last criticism of you, which was that you weren't even in the field very often. That's what they're claiming.
Yeah, and that's both disappointing and surprising, because every photo that they put in that PowerPoint to show different things are pictures that I took on location. I was on a distribution site in Gaza every day. 24th of May, mid SDS1, and I brought these for you so you can look at them there.
Yep.
Every single day is a photo of me or a photo taken by me that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation then used in their public releases.
You took all these pictures?
All of the photos that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation released publicly until the 13th of June were taken by me.
Okay. Well, I guess that pretty much proves your point, doesn't it?
I was not only there, I was there when others were not. Case in point, we had, and you may found this story amusing, we had 30 Palestinian volunteers, local workers, so Palestinians that worked with us on the sites. In a lot of the photos, they're the ones that you see with the blue vests, and they were there to work with us to help with communication, to help, they're from the local population, to help with the crowd as much as they could. And they were brought onto the location, but GHF and SRS hadn't budgeted the money to feed them. So for a foundation that's supposed to be feeding people, thus far they've proven that they can't even feed their own employees. So myself and one of the humanitarian team workers who works for SRS, there was nothing else we could do because it was Shabbat and everything was closed in Israel. The only thing open was Domino's Pizza. So we ordered 32 Domino's pizzas.
From where? There's a Domino's in Gaza?
In Israel.
Oh.
In the Israeli side. And we went to go pick them up, and then with an armored vehicle, with armored personnel, myself and two others, armed, we delivered Domino's Pizza to Security Distribution Site 1 so that the local Gazan workers, or the local Palestinian workers, could eat that night, because GHF and SRS had no plan in place to feed our local Palestinian workforce. We delivered them pizza. I would also like to add that we did it in less than 30 minutes.
I hope they tipped you. So I think to my satisfaction, you've batted down the three main claims they made against you, but those are not the only claims. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Gaza Humanitarian Foundation or Johnny Moore are saying this directly, but your family's been attacked extensively.
Yes.
Since you told your story. Where's that coming from, and what's your reaction to it?
I think that there's a lot of attacks and or hate against my service record. That
were you honorably discharged?
Not only was I honorably discharged, I was honorably discharged under what's called a 100% combat-related special compensation, which is rare. So in the military, when you retire, there's the VA process, separate process. Everybody can apply to that. Through the military, through DOD, there's the combat-related special compensation process, to where if what you've endured is directly as a result of combat, you can have a further special compensation to where not only am I a 100% totally and permanently disabled U.S. Army veteran, honorably discharged with honors, the Army has also credentialed me with 100% combat-related special compensation, meaning that my injuries and wounds afford me to where none of my income is taxed because of the sacrifice I made for this country.
And you were, commended and awarded a Medal for Bravery at least once. So what's the criticism exactly of your service record?
So what I think is, so individuals who think that they know me, who don't. Again, all of these people that have attacked my family and I, we think we find it amusing because they all do it from behind a keyboard, from behind some Twitter handle, No one's come on the record. Here I am on the record. My name, my reputation, my life. You can find me on the internet. I'm here. But people that choose to attack me do it behind a pseudonym or behind their keyboard. If America thinks